There is a plant so productive that it generates free fertilizer for 20 years from a single planting. It rebuilds your exhausted soil without a single bag of synthetic input. It produces 30 to 60 tons of organic matter per acre every year, with potassium levels 15 to 25 times higher than the manure you are hauling or buying. Deep roots pull minerals from layers your vegetables cannot reach. Leaves decompose in 3 weeks, not 3 months. Cut it 5 times a year, pile it around your tomatoes, and watch your fertilizer bill become a memory. 1 planting, 2 decades of production. No dealer, no invoice, no dependency. On July 6, 2001, the FDA issued a 3-page advisory about this plant. The advisory said, do not put it in capsules, do not brew it into tea, do not swallow it. It said nothing about gardens, nothing about compost, nothing about soil, but headlines do not read 3 pages. Headlines read, danger, and they called it banned. Garden centers cleared their shelves within 5 years, nurseries stopped growing it, and a generation of gardeners never learned it existed. It was not because it failed your grandfather's garden. It was because it worked so well that a misread headline did what no corporation ever could. This is comfrey, and what a single advisory, misread by an entire industry, did to erase it from your garden, your soil, and your fertilizer. Independence explains exactly why you are still buying what you could be growing. The story begins not with modern gardening, but with a man who understood what the seed catalogs want you to forget. In 1958, a self-taught English horticulturist named Lawrence Hills began an experiment at a small trial ground in Bocking, Essex. He had no university degree, no corporate funding, just a conviction that gardeners deserved plants that worked for them, not against their wallets. He tested 21 different varieties of comfrey. He measured potassium content, rust resistance, and yield. After years of trials, he selected one. He called it Bocking 14. Then he did something the seed industry would never do. He made it sterile on purpose. A plant that cannot produce viable seed cannot be patented. It cannot be licensed. It cannot be controlled. It can only be shared, one root cutting at a time. Lawrence Hills wanted comfrey to stay free forever. He died in 1990, believing he had succeeded. Here is what he created. Bocking 14 comfrey contains 5 to 8% potassium by dry weight. That is 15 to 25 times more potassium than the farmyard manure you are spreading, more than the bagged fertilizer you are buying every spring. One established plant produces 4 to 5 pounds of leaves per cutting. You can cut it 4 to 5 times per year in temperate climates. The leaves decompose in 2 to 3 weeks. Fast nutrient release, exactly when your vegetables need it. The plant tolerates poor soil, partial shade, clay, neglect. It survives zones 3 through 9. You can cut it to the ground, and it regrows in 4 to 6 weeks. It lives for 20 years or more from a single planting. This is hardiness you can rely on. Now let us talk about what happened on July 6, 2001. Not what the headlines said happened. What actually happened. The FDA issued an advisory titled FDA Advises Dietary Supplement Manufacturers to Remove Comfrey Products from the Market. 3 pages. The full text is still available on the FDA website today. The advisory addressed a real concern. Comfrey contains pyrrolizidine alkaloids, compounds that can cause liver damage when consumed internally over extended periods. 8 to 10 cases of liver toxicity had been documented, mostly in people who drank comfrey tea and took comfrey capsules daily for months or years. The FDA's response was reasonable. They told supplement manufacturers to stop selling comfrey for internal use, capsules, teas, tinctures meant to be swallowed. The advisory said nothing about growing comfrey in your garden, nothing about using it as mulch, nothing about composting it, nothing about feeding it to soil. Garden use was never restricted, not in 2001, not today. But headlines do not convey nuance. FDA warns about comfrey became. Comfrey dangerous became comfrey banned in the telephone game of garden journalism. Garden centers, terrified of liability, pulled comfrey from their shelves. Nurseries stopped propagating it. Extension offices stopped recommending it. Within 5 years, a plant that had been a standard feature of organic gardening had vanished from mainstream American horticulture. In England, where Lawrence Hills developed Bocking 14, comfrey never left the shelves. Garden Organic, the organization Hills founded, still sells it today. European regulators read the same research. They reached the same conclusion about internal use, and they made the same distinction the FDA made. Do not swallow it. Growing it is fine. England. Read the document. America read the headline. Let me give you the numbers. Potassium content, 5 to 8% by dry weight. Cornell University measured 5.3% in 2022. Lawrence Hills measured 7.09% in his original trials. Compare that to farmyard manure at 0.32%. Comfrey is not slightly better. It is 15 to 25 times more concentrated. Decomposition rate, 2 to 3 weeks. Researchers at Wrighton Gardens documented this. A low carbon to nitrogen ratio means fast breakdown and fast nutrient release. Yield, 30 to 60 tons of fresh organic matter per acre under realistic conditions. $150 to $225 per acre per year in fertilizer costs. Over 20 years, $3,000 to $4,500. That is what you are paying for nutrients that comfrey produces for free after a $15 to $30 establishment cost. You can order Bocking 14 root cuttings today from Coe's Comfrey, Horizon Herbs, One Green World, and Fedco. They ship in February and March when the ground thaws. $15 to $30 for enough roots to establish a permanent fertilizer supply beside every bed in your garden. Plant them 2 to 4 inches deep, 3 feet apart. Water them the first year, then ignore them. Harvest when the plants reach 2 feet tall or when flowers appear. Cut to 2 inches above soil level. Pile the leaves around your tomatoes, your peppers, your squash. Or throw them in your compost as an activator. Or steep them in water for 3 to 6 weeks, dilute 10 to 1, and pour liquid fertilizer that costs you nothing but time. First year, let them establish. Second year, begin harvesting. Third year and beyond, full production for the next 2 decades. Here is the truth they do not want you to understand. Comfrey did not fail modern gardening. Modern gardening failed to make room for it, because a headline is easier to write than a document is to read. Lawrence Hills tried to give you this, a plant that could not be patented, a fertilizer that could not be controlled, a 20-year gift that only required you to accept it. A misread headline almost erased his work. Do not let confusion finish what the FDA never started. The advisory is 3 pages. The garden center has your money. The choice is yours. Subscribe. The next archive opens soon.